Well, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Well, here we are. It's a cool morning on us today. We got I don't know. I'm ready for it to. Typically, I'm not, but I'm actually ready for it to warm on up.
Yeah, it's I think we may have mentioned last. We're riding that springtime roller coaster. It's you literally never know what you're getting one day to the next.
Yeah,
It's 75 one day, rains all day the next day. What 38 this morning?
yeah,
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's yeah. You better keep your. Hope you haven't put your jacket away for good yet.
yeah. That's actually this morning when I was kind of like trying to find a hoodie or something
Yeah,
to come out here. I was like, man, because I yesterday, well, I had to wear a hoodie pretty much all day yesterday. The weather, but and it's I can tell that we're about to start planting. Because I'm starting to like get those anxieties of like running out of time to do the things that I need to
right.
do. I'm having that because I got one of the new places that I've got it needs a little dozer work on it, and I've got it's just time is no longer my friend.
That's like you said on the hoodie. I was out fencing some yesterday, and I never took my jacket off.
Yeah,
Doing something that's fairly,
labor intensive.
yeah,
Yeah,
that where you work up sweat pretty quick. Which I didn't do anything super intense, but yeah, I know the anxiety feeling. I think we're gonna buy our first load of calves next week, and so yeah, that'll be pretty these next few days, the same thing, making sure, like, do I have everything ready? Do I have everything we need? Because we'll try to get them vaccinated and everything as soon as they get there.
the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, exactly, man. There's no, is there any other vaccine
Apparently,
ever talk about?
apparently not. Yep.
But yeah. So that's once they get here and we get them all processed and get them settled in for a few days, it'll be a kind of take a big deep breath. But that's yeah, that's one of my exciting. I'm sure just like planning is for you, but also anxious time of year for us. So, but grass is getting green. That's why we're ready for them. We turned cows out on pasture Sunday, I guess.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I hope I fed, practically speaking, the last of the hay we'll have to feed this year. Um, uh, Calves hitting the ground. It's just
Yeah.
we're just about to the end of calving, but like I think I did the math. It comes in waves. I'd gone like 10 days without having a calf, and I had 3 born Tuesday. Now I'm down to 4 left, and yeah, they're liable to all 4 come on one day.
One day, yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm hoping my little 2 young bulls out here, I'm hoping that they'll make it. I'm about to have to give them that. We got a smaller roll, I think, of hay. I'm gonna give that to them, and I'm hoping that's pretty much gonna get them through until the grass comes in pretty good. Which I wish, now I'm kicking myself. I wish I had tagged them when they were little,
yeah,
because now they're already like they're big enough. It'd be kind of I'd have to actually probably work them to tag them. I'd kind of like to just tag them because I'd probably ready to just put them out in the pasture. Um, which in hell, I've had one guy try to buy one of them from me.
with somebody wanting to feed one out.
No, he actually, he said that it was a Hereford. He said, man, you got a Hereford I want. And I said, man, I don't, he said, I want it for breeding. He said, I want to put some Hereford into my cattle. And I said, I don't have a Hereford. And he was like, yeah, man, that red and white one you got, but this one out here, he's only red. Like,
Yeah, and there's a lot of red with a little white on that aren't, and they're probably Hereford influence, but
yeah.
still not
Well,
necessarily.
that's what he would. I guess he'd be closer to like a Gelbvieh. I mean, but again, I don't know. I don't really. But
He's just a red cross.
I didn't say he's just solid. But I mean, he's like solid red. I don't think there's
Yeah.
a single stitch of white on him.
Wow.
Which actually, talking about them, we got an interesting thing we can bring up that I asked you about the other day, and I'll mention the myth, and get your thoughts on the show here. So my bull that we call Mo, my black one I called you about, and said he had those freaking weird.
Yeah.
He's got basically warts,
Yeah.
like on his neck, and I've seen it before. I had another cow one time that had it, but hers went away, and he's got them really like a lot worse than she does, and so I had called just asking you about it, and I'll tell you the old myth, I told Marcy this, and she thought it was like the most awful, disgusting thing she's ever heard. But supposedly you can pop one off, and you can put it in like the pill pusher thing that we use to give, like if a cow has scours or something, you shove it. Basically, they'll swallow the end of it down, and you can pump the pill into their stomach or whatever. Well, you can apparently, they say, pop off one of those warts, put it in one of them things, and feed it to them, and it'll make them go away.
Not veterinary recommended. Yeah, I've heard kind of that old wives' tale. I hesitate to even mention some of the old on-farm remedies that you've heard of. Again, I've never done any of these, would never recommend, would never do. But yeah, I'd even heard of people like somehow, I don't even know what they would do, but I guess they would grind it up. I don't know. Don't use your wife's blender in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And inject it. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. I hate that I even mentioned it. But yeah, I guess, which I don't really know that much about warts in people, but in cattle it's caused by papillomavirus. They're typically not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
It's cosmetic. I mean, I guess if you had show cattle, obviously that would be undesirable. In which case, if it was just a few, you may get them surgically removed, a little lidocaine and whatnot, and then they're gone. But yeah, that was, I was not surprised that you had heard that, because I have heard, those old kind of wives' tales too.
Yeah, I whenever I caught wind of that, I was surprised. One, disgusted at the thought, then also surprised. We could probably, it'd be cool if we could compile all the different wives' tales and stuff across farming and do an episode, because you could do a full episode on that.
It would be more than an episode. It'd be a book. Yeah, but that is one. But yeah, they're usually just not of enough significance, not for commercial cattle. Like they don't matter. I mean, the hide, may not be worth much, that kind of thing. But
yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and if he does like my other cow, then they may just go away. Because that's how she did. Hers just cleared up.
Yeah, a lot of times that's the way it'll go.
Yeah. All right. Well, so. Let's see. I was trying to think. I've got a little story that I was going to kind of touch on. So John Deere, everybody knows I'm pretty well a John Deere guy, but at any time that John Deere, like if you got a case guy arguing, they always want to be like, well, you don't actually own your tractors, and you don't do that, because there's some new crap John Deere's been doing. One of them is on right to repair, essentially. And I'm not super studied up on this, because it actually, this morning I was on my phone getting ready, and I Googled something. And speaking of, actually, I'll make a note. We'll come right back to that. But the John Deere has apparently, I don't know if it went to a lawsuit, but they're going to start selling their software for repairs and I've seen them before, like whenever we've had a John Deere tech come out, they have their laptop or their computer in their trucks, and they can kind of type in what's going on and all this, and it'll kind of basically tell them what's probably happening, and then it shows them what to do and all that. I'm assuming that is the software.
Right. So now they can sell it to like independent repair outfits.
Yep. Like any operator can buy it, which it is kind of the funny part to me is.
I bet it'll be pretty cheap software.
Oh yeah. That's what what I was thinking about, I'm like, realistically, if I ought to get that. If I buy some equipment.
I bet it'll be so.
It's going to be probably.
You'd either have to be a huge outfit or somebody who.
Yeah.
You just went into the repair business and were traveling.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be terrible. But that's what, like, that ought to be something that should come with like, when you buy it, you ought to get, okay, here you go, man. You bought some equipment, especially if
Yeah.
you bought if you bought new from the dealer, it definitely ought to come.
Yeah, and I guess they would argue, well, you got a warranty, and so you
Yeah.
don't even need it. But um, I yeah, I don't know, that's kind of a tricky subject. You'd have to think, because they obviously have a lot of, I guess, proprietary information and stuff that they should own the rights to. But yeah, where do you draw the line as far as, if you're spending, sometimes $500,000 or more on a piece of equipment, you should also, now have the right to know how it how it works and how to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's interesting. That's one of the joys of technology and the advancements we have nowadays, that you have to, even if you knew how to work on it, sometimes I guess you literally can't.
Well,
you don't have the software to allow you, because everything's so computer oriented.
Yeah. Well, that's what, you'd probably need that. And I mean, and even there's some stuff where even if you could diagnose the issue, it would be such a complicated repair. But the problem we're running into now is the same that everybody's running into. There's not enough techs.
Right.
And like the one, like we had one that, man, he took care of us all the time and would, really go out of his way to help us out. And I mean, we called him last year, during harvest, and he'd be like, man, I'm 3 days out. He'd be like, I can't even come out there he said it'd be 3 full days. Cause they have nobody. And so, I mean, it's kind of like, man, that's where now I'm like, okay, you need to release the repair stuff, because you can't get the help no more. Like, I mean, we're in this weird, I guess it's still the part due to the COVID crap or whatever, but we're in that.
And I don't know what it's due to, but it's everything too. I mean, I don't want to get too far off subject, but it's really, and I know I mentioned it on here before, coming down on the veterinary industry right now. Like, we do not physically have the bodies to take care of the demand that's there. I mean, and every day I feel bad, because my receptionist comes in, like, these people are calling, they need to get in, and I look at our schedule, and I look at the line of people already waiting to be seen. I'm like, we just can't do it. Like, I have to say no at some, like, it's, I feel for them, but, and, especially, again, this could get way off on a rant, but, it's like an animal we've never seen before. And I'm like, well, they just need to go to their regular vet. Like, why are they, this animal's 7 years old, they're calling me. It's like, well, like and a lot of times it's like, well, they're like me. I was telling one of my receptionists, they don't ever go to the vet. They don't take their dog to the vet. It's like, it's like when I gotten sick, I have to go just to the walk-in clinic or the emergency room, because you know what, I haven't been a good patient and gone to see my doctor regularly. But I could go off on a long tangent there, so I won't. But major labor shortages, that skilled labor especially, and that's certainly a John Deere technician is very skilled.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. I know used to people would complain. They said they weren't making the money, which I will say that's one of the things that I feel like is probably. I mean, we're actually seeing it in the farming world. Man, used to you hired a farmhand for like $10 an hour.
Yeah,
like that was, and there are still some guys paying that. I can tell you, we pay a hell of a lot more than that now.
Well, and part of me, just looking at it from a, big, or, more economic standpoint, is like, okay, well, apparently we're not paying enough. And the same way with veterinarians, like, if you keep driving the price up, eventually you'll have people enter that field.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you're probably about to say the same thing with farmhands, but with veterinarians, it's that way. I mean, starting salaries are literally double what they were just 5, 6, definitely 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, with farming.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to eventually you'll find a price point where, okay, now we got people entering the industry now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, whenever I left machining and came back to farming, I had never heard of anybody making $20 an hour as a farmhand. Like, I mean, you just never heard of that. Like, the people that I knew that were paying other guys, they were paying them $10, $12. You got up into the $15 range, that was getting pretty good on farmhand. And so, man, you start hearing, I mean, now, it's about to the point where if you start talking to people, it's like, man, they need $20 an hour. They really need more. And we were talking, I think that we're pretty much headed that way all around up into the upper 20s or into the 20s and up on up from there. Because, like, especially in our area, we're about to have the big Ford plant soon.
Yeah.
And they said those guys, they're gonna teach them and do everything. You're gonna start at $25 an hour.
Yeah. Well, it's, and of course, there's all different levels of skill. And, I don't know. I'm sure obviously in ag, it's no different. But yeah, you got the entry level, maybe somebody who doesn't even really know how to operate equipment yet will probably learn pretty quickly. Then you got guys, they walk on the farm and they can already, drive a big truck, drive everything on the farm. Well, okay, yeah, you're worth a little more, of course. But yeah, the old Ford plant, that's another thing I could get on a rant for a while. It's, everybody around here, I don't say everybody, but most people agree it's a good thing. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like everything in life. It's not black and white. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It is going to bring a lot of jobs to the area, no doubt. It is going to not be all positives that it brings to us. And hey, if it, raising the wages for other people around here, hey, not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, just a lot of other things that come with that. I've talked with people in ag that are more in the area around where that plant is being built, that, because obviously the land that I guess it's already all been purchased for the actual factory.
Yes, the mega site, yeah.
But all the land around it, I mean, those property values are
skyrocketing
and probably going to continue to do so. And of course, a lot of people, like all of us that farm, lease a lot of land, and people in that area like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my landowners are going to sell at some point because these numbers are just getting too stupid not to.
Well, and I'll tell you something that worries me with it. There is some huge guys that have kind of moved into that area, and now a lot of us over here are kind of worried that it's about to start pushing them this way, because that land is going to get scarce, going to sell, so they're going to keep inching there. As Ed Calderon put it, the furry hand is going to continue to reach. And I feel like we're liable to see that bleed over into our area.
Well, and this could, again, I keep saying it, but could get off on a whole nother subject. But I actually was talking to my wife and my dad just within the last week with all this, becoming more and more apparent of how that's going to play out. Like, I've always figured or assumed I was going to retire and die right here in Tipton County.
Yeah.
At whatever age that may be. I don't know that I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, if land prices get too ridiculous, I've got some land. I'll get rid of at some point and move off somewhere else.
California.
And buy 3 times as much. Hey, but by the time maybe that I get to retirement, like you said, California maybe will have gotten their act together and flipped the other way. Not holding my breath on that one. But, if it's going to bring a lot more people to the county, and it is, and hey, I'm a business owner in the county. Like, it's going to be good for me from that standpoint, most likely, almost certainly. But I don't want to live in a suburban environment. If land prices get too high and all the farmland around me starts getting, I don't, man, that's not the lifestyle I want. That's not the lifestyle I want my kids to grow up in. There's something, oh man, you could debate it forever. Obviously you want to see progress. You want to see the county improve. But at the same time, you want keep what makes us unique, and not just another big factory town with people moving in here from other places. And I mean, I don't know. It just,
That was one of the way I look at it is, one of the things, I mean, I love Yellowstone because John Dutton is like my hero on there.
yeah.
And I look at it, I felt there was one thing he said that was one of the most relatable things to me. And he said, I'm the wall. If I may get it wrong, but I know he said, I'm the wall that progress bangs its head against. And like,
Oh yeah, when he announces he's going to run for governor.
yes.
Yeah.
And
He's basically, he pulls a 180 and says, I'm anti-progress.
yes.
And you know, that's, I don't want to say that's my standpoint on it, but it's kind of like, oh, you know,
See, I kind of am.
it's an interesting, it's like, man, you know, because I do know there's a lot of people in the county that are going to really benefit from it. Again, like I just said, I stand to benefit from it in some ways. I may just, when you look at dollars and cents, may completely benefit from it. We may all, but it's just, you know, at some point, yeah, the lifestyle and everything else. Well, and yeah, John Dutton, like Beth told him, he could sell that ranch and buy half the state of Oklahoma. Like, but it ain't about money.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying money is important. I am motivated by money, but that's not the only thing.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, and I'm just, man, you know, for me, on the farming aspect, it's not going to really offer any benefit. You know, it's going to,
I think it'll be
a very detrimental thing for
over
us.
the next 10, 15 years, like you just mentioned, because the land prices, and for people not in our area, it's kind of on the other side of the county from us, the eastern part of Tipton County that's going to be most immediately and directly affected. But I mean, that's rising tide lifts all boats. As those land prices go way up, yeah, it's going to make all the other land prices go up, which, hey, again, as a landowner, it's not a terrible thing. But
well, I'll tell you, it's worried me because, like, when we redid my financials, this is a good and bad thing. Like, I fortunately have been able to buy several farms, and very glad that I have already been able to, because these farms, like when we were redoing my financials, the land that I owned has like dang near doubled in value already. And it's like, man, like the prices that they're valued at now, if that's what they were when I had bought them, I would not have been able to buy them. I wouldn't have been able to make it work. And so it's, you know, this show, we have a lot of guys. I will say this, like, because I'm all about, I want us to be real with everybody. It's going to be hard as hell to buy land to get into farming right now.
Well, that's kind of where I think to myself, like, I hate the idea of selling my farmland, especially what means so much to me where I live.
Yeah.
You know, for it to potentially be developed. But if it's that hard to buy more land around here, part of me says, why wouldn't you sell
And buy somewhere else?
Buy 3 times as much somewhere else.
Where are you going? Montana?
I don't think Montana would work. I think the Californians have already driven up. Which, where are you going to go? Exactly. And yeah, that is the question. Like, yeah, you know what?
Go to Alaska. It's not much progress there.
Right. Well, and I don't know about farming up there, but ranching even. You can do some ranching. But yeah, it's I don't know. And you know, kind of typically we have not had ridiculous land prices around here compared to a lot of parts of the country. You know, we talked about those crazy, you know, land sales like in Iowa, I think. And
yeah, we got a buddy that we've been intending to get on here, and he's actually a farmer in Iowa, and we're gonna get him on, and because I'm curious to hear what kind of battles he's facing.
Right. Yeah, he would probably still laugh at us worrying about our land prices here, but yeah. Anyway, that may be an ongoing subject we hit on from time to time, just because it does affect us.
But where would you want to go? I'm curious.
I do say, you know, immediately I think west somewhere. You know, I don't know if west just means Arkansas or if it means Idaho, or somewhere in between. I really don't. I have not put that much thought into it. It just it did kind of the realization of how it's going to change the landscape around here kind of hit me. I was like, man, you know, I don't know that. I mean, I'm 38 years old. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. You know, if I live to the average life expectancy, I got what about another 38 years or so.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to, live it. Tipton County, I'd love to see the figure. It should be look up what the population is, or what the population was like in 1990 when I was a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Because we're at like 65,000 now, but it's I don't know. I would assume it's at least doubled.
Oh man, I would think so.
And I look back at that, and hey, I've kind of gotten used to it. But man, you drive past hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of, subdivision developments that, man, I remember when that was a crop field.
Yeah.
I remember we used to see deer there every morning on our way to school, and now you can't. It's houses as far as you can see.
What did you say it is right now?
We're about 65,000.
Yeah, it was 37,000 in 1990.
Yeah, so basically
double. That's been one of the weirdest realizations for me, because I remember Dad always being like, that right there used to be farm ground. Like I remember him pointing out, we'd be driving and and this would have been 15, 20 years ago. And he'd be like, yeah, that was a farm right there. And like I would remember, like he would be telling me that, and it'd be a subdivision as long as I could remember. And now, like I'll be 31 here in, I guess, a month or two. And now it's like weird because, yeah, there's a lot of ground that I drive by now. And I'm like if somebody's in from out of town and I'm showing them around, I'll be like, yeah, we actually used to farm that right there. And
you're becoming your dad.
I am. Like soon I'm going to have the moment where I like pull the dad socks on and put the white New Balances on or whatever. But,
the crispy boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mow the yard in your white tennis shoes.
Yeah. But, no, it is, man. I really am. I am the guy that is,
we're just two old guys here complaining about progress.
Yeah.
It's
a
tale as old as time.
It is. You know what my on my Instagram, it says a dinosaur in modern, what's it say? A dinosaur in modern times, essentially. It's something like that. And that's how I feel. Like I have never related more to a quote than when John Dutton said, "I'm the wall that progress bangs its head against." Because that is how I look at it. Like, and it's tough because I get to an element people got to live somewhere, and people are living longer. It's one of the bad sides. So I say bad. It's one of the bad elements to the fact that we do have modern sciences, and people are, I guess, I'm not going to say they're getting healthier. This is also a rant. It's not that we're getting healthier. I think people are just living off of like chemical induced like further life, I guess, but they're living longer and then producing more. And so it's like, man, where do they go? And now we ride, I'll tell you what, when I went to the Farm and Gin show, actually, we were driving down 2nd Street, and it's like all those old, like freaking warehouses and stuff, and they're empty and just dilapidated and stuff. And that's what I told my wife. I was like, why don't there needs to be some, if for a lack of a better way of putting it, there almost needs to be a cap on the town and be like, we can't have any more people here. Like, yeah. And so it's like, look, we got these old dilapidated warehouses here. We'll get in a crew. We'll even redo it. Some guy, I feel like some dude could get that and redo it and make like apartments or something.
They'd make them into, what are they, like studio apartments. The hipsters would eat those up. Like,
use what's already not being used, like that's not productive.
Oh,
like,
and that's a problem in every city anywhere, where they, pretty much people have ruined an area and they just leave it. Rather than
ghost town, man.
But yeah, you're right. You would think like that would probably be a pretty good investment type idea. I don't know. I'm not a real urban real estate kind of guy, so I don't.
I'm not either. But man, whoever, I'll say the guys that are around here that are building on all the farm ground, if you're listening, stop it. Damn it.
I don't. They're probably not listening, and They probably don't care.
No, they don't. Their pocketbook is like getting fatter, and I mean it's I don't know, man. And I see it online. People don't think about it. Like that farm in Millington that we've lost. Like it's sold, which we knew working it was going to happen. I saw online somebody was like, it was like one of our local town pages on Facebook, and somebody was like, all right, they're building a Hobby Lobby and this other thing. They're putting this like strip mall, they're going to put it right there behind Lowe's or in that thing. And they were like, can't wait for this. And all these people were like, I can't wait to see this, so excited. And I commented and said, I hate it. I said, I hate it. We've been farming that ground for years now. So that's pretty good farm. And I said, we're losing more and more farm ground every year to this crap. I said, I hate it. And like, to my surprise, a bunch of people liked it. And some people were like, I never thought about that. Like, I hate that.
It's like, like, look, I understand we need businesses, we need all that. But like, does anybody's life really change because there's now a Hobby Lobby right there?
I know. Does it hurt that much to drive an extra 20 minutes to go to the one in Memphis?
Nowadays, it probably does.
Well, yeah, right now, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. At some point, you've got to.
Yeah, when does it? What's the breaking point of it? Like, where does it stop? Like, I wish I had looked. I mean, which again, we let these episodes unfold. I really had no idea this is the path we would go down. I think it's a good topic. But I'd like to know, I'm going to pull my little young Jamie here. How many acres of farmland are lost
to development every year?
Yeah.
I've seen figures out there. I can't quote anything off the top of my head, but yeah,
it says here, now this is, all right, how much farmland do we lose a year? Yeah, that's talking about California. Well, California loses 50,000 acres a year.
And that's
insane.
Yeah, it's not incredibly surprising, but I mean, I don't know.
This right here says it shows that 2,000 acres of agriculture land are converted every day.
Every day, just in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that
wow, man,
does not surprise me. But at some point, yeah, you pass the balancing point. You're like, okay, now we've got to, we still got to eat.
Yeah.
We still got to have clothes put on our back.
Well, that's how right here. This is the last one I'll get out of this because it's just blown my mind a little bit. Between 1992 and 2012, we lost 31 million acres of farmland to development.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, and that's been since 2012. It's no telling how many more millions of acres have been lost from 2012 to now 22. Yeah, dang, man, that's nuts. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, people, yeah, you might live somewhere, but like, what are they gonna do? I mean, and then all of that all goes back to what is kind of comical. They want to attack GMO, and it's like, all right, you do realize, like, y'all are steadily shrinking the acres we have to work with.
You're forcing us to have to be more productive on less ground.
Yes.
Which, man, there's all kinds of examples where, you can't have it both ways. It's kind of hypocritical, but I don't know. There was I guess to shift gears a little, there was a little bit of a news story that had really caught my attention, got me fired up 2 or 3 years ago, but it was resolved in court just this week. And I think you and I maybe even talked about it, on your other podcast.
Was it the rancher dude?
No, it was here in Tennessee. So Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, our state wildlife law enforcement group, had been surveilling private property of a couple of individuals. It was in Benton County, so up on the Tennessee River, but without a warrant. And apparently there was a bit of a loophole. I believe it was through a federal law called Open Fields doctrine, that basically, I think it says you don't have an expectation of privacy in essentially what would be like an open field, like you would in your home. And so a law enforcement agency does not necessarily have to have a warrant to surveil something like that.
Yeah.
And they had been surveilling this property of this individual. I think it was actually a couple of guys. It was one particular that I guess was more open and interviewed or whatever. But, and I don't know any of these people. I know several of our TWRA officers in the state. I have several good friends, none of them in that area. Like everything I know about this story is from pretty much what I've heard on the internet. I know a few people in that general area, but it's, all our information is basically what's being reported. But he had found a camera on his property. I think done what every single landowner that I know would have done. Took it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guarantee you.
I've got several.
That you found on your property?
Yeah.
There probably weren't TWR. They're probably.
No, if it was the state spying on me, I'd have some real shitty feelings about that one.
Oh, but and it wasn't the state spying on you, because I'll tell you what it came down to. So he took the camera. Days later, on his separate property, I guess where he lived, agents showed up at his house. He said, of course, you're only getting his side of the story because TWRA won't speak about it. Which,
yeah.
I'm like, y'all probably really need to release a statement, because y'all are losing the battle of public perception bigly right now. The showed up, bulletproof vest, rifles in hand, like raided the home, and arrested him and his girlfriend. And basically, the guy, and when I really kind of step back in the story, they were probably baiting. I think that's what they were trying to catch him for, was baiting.
Yeah, so they were doing something illegal.
And I can't say that, but I think that was at least the implication.
Yeah. But
still, for a law enforcement agency to be able to surveil you with no warrant, yeah, we're going to go put surveillance cameras on this property.
Yeah.
Because we can. But the court ruled that it was a violated state constitution.
Really?
And so, yeah, a win for the private citizen there.
Good, man. I wonder, was that played off of like the Patriot Act?
I don't know. And of course the Patriot Act's the most unpatriotic thing.
I know the name is awful, because
I think it may have been Rogan who was talking to somebody about it, and said they shouldn't even be able to give these things names like that. It should just be, it's whatever bill number, whatever.
Yeah.
Because who can be against the Patriot Act? It's the Patriot Act, man. But yeah, and this is exactly on that subject. It sounds all well and good, my neighbor's, poaching or baiting his property. Hell yeah, catch him.
Yeah.
Throw the book at him. I don't want him doing that. He's going to hurt the wildlife on my property as well. But where does they overreach? Where do you draw the line?
Yeah,
at what point do you have corrupt law enforcement that uses that power, indiscriminately? And I'm not saying, again, I don't know any of these people. These probably weren't real upstanding individuals in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And those wildlife agents might even be good dudes that were doing this. But, at what point is it, a generation from now, 2 generations from now, whenever law enforcement is totally abusing something like that?
Yeah, they might catch me making my moonshine by illegally spying on me.
Well, and this guy pointed out, he's like, well, I'm out there relieving myself in the woods, and they've got video of that.
Yeah.
Or it's like, what if me and my girlfriend are having an intimate moment out there? I'm like, well, and of course, your mind spirals out of control. Some weirdo TWRA agent
watching you,
images of you. And so, just no, I don't care how obvious it may have been that this guy was doing something illegal. Get your warrant, do it the right way.
Yeah.
Their argument against it is that because so much of our land that's hunted in the state, I think 90% of the property that's hunted in Tennessee is privately owned.
Yeah.
And so they can't possibly get a search warrant every time they need to go on to property. I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. I don't know exactly where they do get the right to come onto your property, where they don't, but you can't just have surveillance cameras.
Yeah.
And then raid a guy's home with weapons drawn, because he took a trail camera that he found on his property. Come on.
Yeah. I will add real quick, I do not make moonshine, but I would love to. I would love to. Now, on that, man, I'm with you. Like, that's kind of, you've joked about it. Well, I don't even want to say necessarily joked, but you've kind of gone this route, and I find myself going this way more and more all the time. But the libertarian aspect, like, I am to the point where it's just like, man, I don't want the government. Like, just let's just
Well,
cut out.
We need them in a very, very, very limited form. Like,
Yeah.
it is so bloated at this point in time. Yeah, just leave us alone. If we're not doing anything that's hurting anybody else, you dang well better leave us alone.
It makes me, I always get a kick out of whenever somebody, like if a guy gets arrested that has done something, like he's a bad guy or something, and he gets arrested, and the news is like he had an arsenal of firearms.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
He had 10 handguns, 1,000 rounds.
Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, geez. Yeah, I hope they don't.
That's anybody going to the range on a Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
But to somebody who doesn't have guns, they think.
Yeah, they're like, my Lord.
Why would you need more than 5 or 6 rounds?
Yeah.
And more than one handgun?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm like, dang, man, they think like I'm like I don't know, the Joker or something out here.
Like a case of shotgun shells. I used to buy a case every year before duck season. That's 250 rounds of just shotgun shells.
You're a madman.
And I mean, that's like, yeah, I mean, heck, we go on a big hunting trip. I might have that many in the truck just in case. You never know how much shooting we might get to do.
I try to buy Marcy and then joke about it. I mean, my mother-in-law is like, Logan is definitely on a list. And I'm like, I probably am.
Well, even the fact that we admit that there are lists is scary.
Which is.
I know she's joking, but still.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know that she's necessarily, she doesn't mean it negatively towards me, but she's like, he probably is on a list. And it is true. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking about when you were talking about them surveilling. Like, there's as stupid as this sounds, we got our phones right here. There's a very good chance that, like, if they're not listening, they could listen to us right now. Like,
if they wanted to?
Yeah, like, through these phones, like, you can turn them off. I've heard them talking about you can turn your phone off, and it's still, they can get through to it. Like, you have to basically destroy the battery.
And somebody, and I don't know if I would call him a good guy or a bad guy, and he's, like much of us, he's neither. He's somewhere in between. But who would know, I mean, who would be an absolute expert on this subject, Edward Snowden. I read part of his book. I don't think I ever made it through all of it. It was getting way off into all the little details of the spying.
Yeah.
But when he was being interviewed, I think it may have been for that book or for something, when he would meet with the reporter, they were in Hong Kong, like he was big on that. Like, he's like, no, you can't just cut your phone off. He even said you can't even just take the battery out. Like, they would, I believe they would put their phones in the refrigerator of the hotel room.
Yeah.
So there was absolutely no way they could hear. Because, of course, the government was
very
much trying to listen to him at this point. He was a fugitive or whatever.
Could you imagine how nuts that'd be? Like that, the paranoia that would be at that point. Like, if you would be like looking out the window and seeing
he knew
cars.
How much and like, he's telling, like, and he would know. I don't think he's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they can do that. Well, I mean, everybody knows. Like, we can you and I can have a conversation about something. Open up an app on our phone that has ads, and there'll be an ad about whatever we were talking about.
Yeah.
Or if we were texting about it, it's like, man, that's drawing the line. That's why I use Duckduckgo.
Well, have you seen the recent crap with Duckduckgo?
I have not.
They are jumping aboard the Google ship now. They're going to start filtering the information that they allow.
Okay.
Just like Google does on certain aspects. To fight the misinformation war. I just saw that like last week. The Duckduckgo was going to start filtering out the misinformation.
Yeah, that's the problem there. Of course, like it always is who's deciding what's good information and what's bad. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I did you do the company last week?
I think you did one. I'll look it up. We'll
I
give
can't
another
remember.
shout out to who.
Well, I was
it
going
is.
to say, I've got one that would be perfect for today's discussion.
All right, well, we'll do that one.
Okay. And I feel like, is there anything else you wanted to add?
So on that, now I think that was a win. Like, and again, part of me, I do, because I feel like TWRA's stance on that, which would be nice if they would just come out with a statement.
Yeah.
Would be, look, we had these guys red-handed, like they were clearly doing something wrong. We didn't like get the freaking warrant.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, at that time they didn't have to have one, but
obviously they thought they were finding a loophole.
Well, and they were, but
Yeah.
I guess at that time it was, but now, I guess now precedent has been laid that is
Yeah.
unconstitutional, and now they will have to get warrants, I guess, in certain situations. Which, again, I'm not a lawyer. If they have, was it probable cause or reasonable cause, whatever, you can search without having a warrant. You know, I
Yeah.
guess that's more like with police, like on a vehicle. But like I've thought back, and I could get well. I've had police search my vehicle before, and I let them. And now I think back, I was like, I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, you don't. There's a guy.
Because why? It should have been my question, like, why? And,
Yeah.
and of course, I was asking myself, I was like, well, I don't have anything. Why not? Just let them do
Yeah.
it. Like, no, like, what the hell, dude? Like, I was speeding. You gonna search my vehicle? Like,
Yeah, but I've only ever had that happen one time. We got searched, and actually Drew was with me.
oh,
And-
really?
Yeah.
my brother.
Yes. And it was, I'll just say, a buddy of ours. We were in his truck. We were going to Chili's one night, and he had a truck, and he actually farms. His truck was
Okay, I know who we're talking about.
Yes,
now.
truck was very muddy, it was a lifted truck, very, very muddy. And we came up to a roadblock. And this was, man, it's been years ago. Because I was dipping, underage dipping.
You were afraid they
I
were
was
going to
like,
haul you to jail
yep.
for tobacco.
I was like, damn it, this is it. This is it. My life is done over this can of smokeless tobacco.
They'll lock me away for years.
And so like I took my can and I put it just in the back seat because they were both over 18. So I was like, if it's in his truck, it's just his. It's no big deal. But I was like, if it's on me, I'm doomed, man. My life is over. And but they were like, all right, this is it. And now the dude we were with, he had like multiple guns in the truck. And we got up there to the road, but we didn't think anything about it. I mean, it's nothing unusual. And the guy he had him roll the windows down. And like I said, the tent was very dark. It was at night, but the truck was super muddy, but it was dried mud. And the guy was like, what you boys out, y'all out tearing up somebody's fields? And our buddy was like, no, actually, I farm. He was like, no, we ain't tearing up nobody's fields. And the cop like was shining his light around, and he had a spotlight in the floor. And then the guns, it was like 2 barrels like sticking up.
Y'all been spotlighting.
Yeah,
deer.
he's like, oh, y'all been out spotlighting. And our buddy was like, man, look at my boots. He was like, I got on like my snakeskin boots or something. He was like, I ain't out spotlighting in these boots. Like, look how we're dressed. And the cop was like, I'm gonna need you boys to pull over there. We're gonna have to search this vehicle. And so he goes to pull over there, and he turns over to me and Drew, and he's like, all right, boys, this might get ugly, because he said, I think these guns are loaded. So, I mean, I'm like, man, I'm nervous. I've never been in this scenario before. And I think the cop even was like, you better pray them guns ain't loaded. And so like we pull over there, and we get out, and they search his truck, and by an act of God, there was no round in any of the chambers. They were not loaded. But like,
so I guess is the law different there, where if it's loaded, it's
I don't know, because I got to thinking, like, I carry, my truck gun is that AR pistol. Now it's considered a handgun, and you can conceal carry, obviously one in the chamber. I'm assuming if I have a pistol in my truck, if I can conceal carry, then I would assume I can have a loaded pistol in my truck. My AR is the same. So what if?
But a rifle is different. I guess we need a lawyer to break this one down for us. But
Yeah, and I don't know. And it was kind of,
well,
it was funny. It was.
I will admit nothing.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it was pretty funny looking back, but like, yeah, man, I was scared. Because again, I was probably like 16 years old.
And see, like in that situation, again, I guess we need a lawyer, but I don't know if, like, because they can see the firearm without entering the vehicle, then they have cause to
I guess
conduct
he
a
would
search.
say since there was a spotlight and then firearms,
He had reasonable
probable cause, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's the night we got searched, and again, everybody could tell stories about this. It was similar. It was 3 dudes,
Yeah.
and it was, I say late at night. It was like 10 o'clock. I think we were same thing. We were going to get something to eat. I think we were hitting some fast food that time of night, but it was in a college town. We were in college, and yeah, they assumed, they're like, they've either been drinking or there's definitely going to be open containers in the vehicle, and like, nope,
No.
sorry guys.
Yeah.
That's why, of course, I was like, yeah, feel free to search it, but I should have been.
Well,
38-year-old me was like, no, you better have a reason to search the vehicle.
Yeah.
Because you can't just do that. Like, it's private property. I'm
There's-
not doing anything wrong. And again, I was speeding that night. I did get a legit speeding ticket, but if I had a bunch of illegal substance in the truck, I wouldn't have been speeding, most likely.
Yeah.
That's why you ever seen the joke, or maybe it's a meme, that if you ever see like a guy that's obviously like in a farm truck and he's got a trailer and all the lights are working, you need to pull him over because they're definitely doing something illegal.
Yeah, because all my lights don't work on anything.
Like most of, like our cattle trailer, because I do have a fairly new cattle trailer, the lights all do work, but like any equipment trailer, like it's more likely that none of the lights work than all of them work. Like my little trailer, I pull my side-by-side on, oh Lord, like I don't even think it still has a plug on it anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you ever see somebody, if all the lights are working perfectly,
that makes sense. Never heard that before, but it's true.
They're definitely doing something illegal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I don't own hardly anything that all the lights work on. Well, yeah, man. There's a guy on. I will say there's this dude on YouTube, and sometimes he's really annoying. He's one of them guys. He calls it. And again, neither of us are anti-police. We definitely have good buddies that are on the police force. We back the blue on that, so we don't want to come off that way. But we do also, we want it done in a legal manner.
Well, it's kind of like we said last week. You can be a conservative and still be green.
Yes.
You can be a conservative and not be 100% like cops are heroes. All cops, again, not all cops are bastards, but it's not all cops are good dudes. Like, and you got to have a balance there of, because at some point, there's going to be a bad one or several bad ones. And y'all know, as a conservative, like, we're as anti-police state as anyone. Like, we don't want that. And so it's just been weird the last few years. We're like, no. If you're a conservative, you got to worship the ground that the police walk on.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like we understand the necessity, but I also, it's the same, man. Like I've said before, we realize that there's literally bad apples in everything. There's bad, like we said before, there's bad farmers. There's bad veterinarians. I'm sitting by one right now. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. We cut warts off things
and feed them too.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So there is this guy that he calls it like auditing the police. Some of the videos are kind of comical, but sometimes they're really annoying because he'll just be a jackass to cops. I'm like at some of his videos, I'm like, I wish this cop would just punch this guy in the face.
He's trying to provoke him.
Yeah. Like there's one of the funniest YouTube videos of all time to me. There's this dude and the cop comes up and the guy like cracks his window like this much. And he's like, hello, officer. And he's like, am I being detained? And the cop is like trying to talk to him. And I don't know what the guy was doing, but the guy literally every time the cop says something, the guy goes, am I being detained? Am I being detained? And the cop's like, can I get your license? And am I being detained? And he does this like a ton of times. And eventually, like he's not listening to the cop whatsoever. And he just keeps asking that. And the cop is like, sir, if you do not obey, I'm going to have to forcefully remove you from the vehicle. And like, the guy's like, am I being detained? And like, finally the cop flips out this like expandable billy club and just blows the dude's window out and like opens the door, and the guy's like being drug out, and he's like, "Am I being detained?" Like as he's getting drug out of the car. And it was like the most hilarious thing to me, because the guy's being a dumbass at that point.
Yeah, I do not recommend ever, instigating an incident with any law enforcement.
No.
But
well,
be respectful, but you expect that respect in return.
Yes.
And 99 times out of 100, you're probably going to get it.
Well, and the thing that I always said, and it's the same with any of the, like when you see a shoot, like where a cop has shot a guy, this, I don't think this will offend any of our listeners. I feel like they're on the page we are here. Just comply and then fight it in court later. Like that's your best option, because if you start, typically the shootings that you see occur from like where a police officer shoots somebody, you can almost always trace it back to non-compliance.
Yeah, it's at some point. And even if the whole incident started out kind of unjustifiably, right, you fighting it is probably not going to make it better.
No, yeah, I mean, because one, like this dude, you don't know what call the cop come from, like, so he might already have been in a
kind of day they've had. Yeah.
So I mean, just your odds of fighting it in court are much like that case with that guy. Like, I mean, with the cameras and stuff, and then he won in court. I mean, so, if it's unjustified, then, you might win in court, but your chances are much better at winning in court than if you punch a cop in the face because he's doing something like you think is wrong. So my company for today, I've ordered from them a couple of times. I don't think I've ever done them before on here, but it's Canoe Club USA. I don't think, have I ever done them on here?
No.
Okay. They sell ammo. That's why I was like, man, this be a good. They're actually a veteran owned, like, American company. I've got their logo actually on my rifle case there. They do not sell canoes. The name is actually like their logo is a skull that's been canoed. It's got a canoe in the top of it, hence they've canoed some skulls.
Yeah, a little bit of a violent image.
Yeah, most of them have truly canoed somebody's head, so like that's hence their name. But Canoe Club USA, they carry a good bit of ammo. I actually just ordered some 9mm and some 5.56 the other day off of there. So like we were saying, we are proud, freedom-loving Americans on Talk Dirt to Me, and so we support loading up with ammunition.
Yeah, support people doing whatever they want to do.
Yep.
As long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Yep. So Canoe Club USA, they're relatively new, but again, they're
I'll have to check them out, because I have not ever. If
I remember properly, the guy from Half Face Blades, I think, is one of the owners.
Okay.
Andy Arabito, but I'm almost positive. Well, people can check them out, Canoe Club USA, but they're, like I said, it's a veteran-owned company. They're kind of all linked into the other company, We Kill Bad Dudes, which that's what I'm like, man, I wish I had been in the military just so I could wear that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I can't wear it, because their logo is literally like the Grim Reaper putting a little Taliban guy to sleep.
So they're an apparel company.
Yeah. I mean, I love the image, but I've never put a Taliban man to sleep, so I can't rock the shirt. But if you have, that's another one. Check out Canoe Club USA. If we got some veteran listeners, hey, if you've ever dirt napped a Taliban, then go check out We Kill Bad Dudes as well. But Canoe Club USA, they got all kinds of ammo. They're constantly growing the inventory because it is a pretty young business. They got cool apparel. Got one of their shirts. But definitely recommend checking them out.
Yeah. Another American-owned company.
Yep. Well, that's all I got.
I guess me too. So y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all. Talk to y'all next week.
Take it easy.